about the dancing cop, or as he was dubbed in 2015, that being Anthony Johnson. He was seen on recent video, taking a bit of a cheap shot at an individual by punching him in the face. Let's start with the punch, and then let's work our way back to how we know him in the community.
Get back!
Or what?
Get back!
Or what?
Get back!
Or what?
Get back!
Just to give some context as what's going on here, Robertson, the person who you see taking a punch to the face there, he stepped in because he believed that his wife was going to be subject to some sort of violence. Now, I know the argument, he should have listened to the officer's command, he should have done what he was told, but DeWitt, we keep seeing that it seems that the police response to, oh, you're not going to follow my orders? Okay, violence. And we don't allow that in any other avenue or any other aspect of our world where you get this, if you don't listen, you must feel type of notion. But here you have an officer not trying to detain him or trying to move him away, but just taking a pop shot at his face. And the officers swarm as if it's like sharks getting chum in the sea. It's a weird reaction to just jump someone in that way.
I hear you. Although I might disagree with the characterization of weird, because we've seen it happen in all too many instances, and it's become quite commonplace that law enforcement meets any objection to their authority, any question to their authority, with some increased level of force that is unnecessary, and oftentimes will escalate things into some type of further violence. In this circumstance, look, the young man, it seems pretty obvious, was stepping up to take care and make sure this woman, his wife, was protected. And I think that was a perfect opportunity for law enforcement to use some of the skills that they have around de-escalating situations. And I think that officer could have done that quite easily. Instead, he chose a provoking action and what really was a sucker punch when it was unnecessary. And as you could see from the video as it plays out, that leads to an escalation of violence. Luckily, nobody was shot here or killed, but this is exactly the type of behavior that is inconsistent with law enforcement practices that leads to further violence and sometimes people being killed unnecessarily.
DeWitt, let me throw this at you and see if it changes your analysis, because in 2015, this officer was a good apple. And let me show you the video that went viral to that point.
What? Get it? Hey, what? Cause I'm feeling what? No flag on the plane. When somebody gets caught. Pull up. Hey, hit the car. Hey, hit the car.
I mean, maybe his dance moves have something to be desired, but I think that's at the heart of what we're talking about community policing. Know your community, understand them, interact with them in a way that creates empathy. And so when you're dealing with them in a professional capacity, you're not going to see the pop shots like we saw. But 2015, we see him dancing. 2020, we see a punch to the face. Does that change anything for you in terms of the calculus of this situation?
No, it doesn't. I think, look, officers are trained and they have a pretty uniform training around how to respond in situations like this. So it doesn't change my analysis. He was an officer. He was responding to the situation. I think he responded inappropriately. However, I think one thing that should be noted is this. the notion oftentimes is that people who perpetuate these type of violent acts on Black folks in particular are some type of menacing and vicious, mean people. Some people have labeled them gorgons or ghouls or monsters, and they're not. They're regular people that sometimes might be dancing with your kids, or sometimes might be holding the grocery store door open for you, while in the next instance exhibiting some behavior that is questionable. I don't know if it's fair to say it's racial, but I doubt he would have acted that way in a very affluent white neighborhood.
I would agree. Now, just to give some context, the officers were there because they heard reports of gunfire, but instead it was fireworks. No guns were recovered. But Robinson, the individual who was punched in the face, he was arrested. We'll continue with more of that. We'll take a quick break and come back to more here at Justice and Peace.